this is basically a kamikaze effort.
Final poster, Brian, depicts your unpopular movie opinion.
I have a ton, but I think I'll go with I love the Matrix Resurrections, the one that came out during COVID. I'm a really big fan. I felt like I love the Matrix so much, and then the sequels I had mixed to negative feelings on, especially Revolutions and its handling of Trinity, and Resurrections. I'm a big Wachowski head too, but I felt like it made the sequels better, and I just loved the balls of that movie, and just the style of the movie, like just everything about it. I was just like, this is real. Like, this is basically a kamikaze effort what they're doing, but it was really beautiful and satisfying, and all in service of like a really deeply, what felt like a really deeply personal way she was engaging with fandom and her legacy, and being a trans filmmaker. I was just really, I was like, I'm never gonna see something like this again. And so that was something that I know it's not like the others at all in a lot of ways, but just the nuttiness of, oh, we have to keep reviving these old IP kind of thing, and someone actually was like, here's a lot of money to go do it, and then she went and did exactly what she wanted to do. Everyone else be damned. I was really inspired and just delighted by.
Okay, I mean,
That's my
it's
big one.
it's certainly unpopular because I don't think I think you're in the minority, because I think a lot of people really struggled with Resurrection. So just to go back to Revolutions. Now, I agree. That's the worst of the original three by a country mile. Why did you say you didn't like it?
I mean, I mean, it's not spoiler to talk about now, but Reloaded, I think, has its problems, but the action is so stunning in Reloaded. But so much of that movie is about Neo saving Trinity, and that in Revolutions, it feels like she's kind of an afterthought for a lot of the movie, and then she dies in a really unsatisfying way that I felt like kind of made Reloaded worse. And so, and I love Trinity, and I love that relationship. And so Resurrection's kind of doing a whole, retro, actively changing that a little bit. But then also a movie that's really, my favorite scene in Resurrections is like when they're at the coffee shop talking. And just, I was like, oh, this is really cool that it's like, this movie is way more interested in these two people talking than in action scenes. Again, definitely know that's not for everybody, but as a fan, like going back to Revolutions, I still don't think it's it would never be my favorite of, it would always be my fourth favorite of the four, but at least now I'm not annoyed by the Trinity death. I'm kind of like, well, I know now, like I know what happens next, and it's quite emotional and beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why you liked it. I think it was the action that a lot of people were disappointed in, because I think a lot of people, a lot of the Matrix fans were like, it was, it was about the spectacle, and obviously Resurrections chooses to simply not deliver.
And that's also, that's one of the things that's so interesting. It really does not try to do that, and like that is such a bold and nutty choice. And I don't think it's a perfect movie by any means. I think it would have been, I missed, and I think the actors that they cast to replace some of the OGs are really, I think Yahya and Groff are great, but that movie would have been so much more impactful with Lawrence and especially with Weaving, too, that it was but also that even that element of it just makes it feel so strange and unusual, and they made it during COVID, and John Toll shot for like a week and then couldn't shoot anymore because of COVID, and so it's like not, it's like crew members are shooting the movie. Like it's something that's really interesting and cool and unique, and just I cannot, like, I'm sure it was just like, oh, like they said Keanu would come back for her, and then they were like, Warner Brothers was like, great, here's the money, and then they were just given this other insane thing. It's such a I think it's exactly what they've set out to do, which I think is what's so funny and interesting. Like they weren't trying to make the Matrix; they were trying to make this whole other thing, and that is really it'll never happen again, and probably never really happened before that, and so that's partially why that's I revisit a lot because I feel like emotionally I'm really moved by that movie. I don't cry, but I'm really invested in Neo and Trinity in that movie.
I love it. Our final poster then for your unpopular movie opinion is that you love The Matrix Resurrections, and we've arrived. Thank you so much for watching this interview. I'd love it if you would check out some of the other interviews on our channel. They're all fascinating and unique trips to the movies with some wonderful, wonderful guests. And if you would like to find out more, do hit us up on our social channels. We are at Trip to Movies Pod. That's at Trip to Movies Pod on all social media with lovely content on there. And you can get in touch with us if you so wish. Thanks again.